Why does PH in English make the F sound? Like, shouldn't it be P? Well, actually, in the past, it actually did mean P. Let's go down the rabbit hole of English digraphs. In a language like Spanish, the consonants B and B are distinguished just by voicing. And voicing is just whether your vocal cords are vibrating when you say that consonant. But the Spanish P, B, sounds a little bit weird to English speakers because we're used to having a little bit of aspiration on it. So we have B for B, kind of like Spanish, but when we say P, we say P. So it's kind of like adding an H, right? Where am I going with this? Well, in ancient Greek, they kind of had a combination of the Spanish and the English sound. So they had the B sound, the P sound, and the P sound. And each of these sounds actually had their own letter. But Romans spoke Latin, which has a sound system similar to Spanish, which makes sense because it's the ancestor of Spanish. So they didn't have the consonant P. But when they were borrowing Greek words, they wanted to make it clear what the original Greek pronunciation would have been. So for instance, when they borrowed the Greek word philosophia, they'd use the PH to represent this letter and not this letter. It's thought that some Romans would have pronounced it as philosophia with the H sound, but others would have just said philosophia. But in later centuries, the Greek pronunciation changed. So in later Koine Greek, aspirated consonants gradually turned into fricatives. P became F, T became Th, and K became H. And Latin-speaking Romans noticed this and they were like, okay, so this letter now makes the F sound and we have that sound in our language, so we'll just pronounce it like that now. Although notably, they didn't do the same thing for Th and H because they didn't have those sounds in their phonology. And that's why for Greek-derived words in Spanish, you'll hear trono instead of throno and coro instead of joro. And it's funny because many varieties of Spanish actually do have those sounds now, but they didn't when these pronunciations originated. But it wasn't until centuries later that these Latinized Greek words entered English. And English did have the F and the Th sound, so those were the understood pronunciations for the digraphs PH and TH. But technically, if you wanted to be really annoying, you could pronounce philosophy as philosophy and just say you're using the ancient Greek pronunciation.